Hello and welcome to the commentary version of the Anivia video. As always, the non-commentary version shall be linked underneath.
So young, so naive.
Anivia is a very calming and slow-paced mage character who is very relaxing to play as. I originally start off with her Q ability, which is a double cast spell, which we'll be seeing soon when we use it on Swain. It will cleave through all the enemies, and then when you click to finish the cast for the second time, or let it run its full course, then it will stun whichever enemy it's overhead. Which we keep making sure to land on Swain. At the moment though, we can't exactly kill Swain, because we need some more moves to do that. But it's a very good ability to generally do some poking damage and be able to get away due to the stun. As you can see, we can pretty much take down the majority of his health bar quickly at this stage. That's due to her E attack, which doubles in power against targets that are slowed by her. So casting her Q and then following that up with an E while the target is stunned makes for a very quick and easy kill, as can be seen there. Ordinarily, players working against Anivia would be trying to make sure they don't get themselves into such positions.
Let's soar.
I usually end up taking the mana regeneration clarity, because Anivia needs quite a lot of mana and allows her to spam all of her spells.
Only for you.
She's a very mana exhaustive character. Not the most mana exhaustive, but still very dependent on her mana.
Only for you.
I'm not managing to score all the last hits that I would like, but we can keep dealing with Sway whenever he comes close. The stun that comes from her Q ability is always very helpful for this.
Understood.
An enemy has been slain.
At this point, I just walk away for some safety to make sure we don't get killed by Swain. But as you can see there, her W ability creates a wall behind, well, not generally behind the enemy, but whoever you choose to target it.
As you wish.
I usually end up placing a wall behind the enemy so that they can't flee, but if you want to make yourself safe, then planting it in front of the enemy so they can't reach you is also a very smart idea.
I bring the storm.
It can generally be used to save teammates, but since I'm playing just alone at the moment, or my teammates are in other lanes, I don't need to worry about that. At this point, we just go back to increase our mana regeneration. Get a Tear of a Goddess, which is a very useful item for her to get.
In a flash.
The more mana that Anivia has, the better. But of course, it's still good to have ability power, but at this stage I just want to make sure that I can continually kill as many creeps as I can get. When we get a few more levels, we will be going to solo kill one of the blue buffs. But we'll talk about that when we get there.
Understood.
We can keep poking at Swain to make sure that it keeps getting low, forcing him to waste some of his potions and eventually allow us to get the kill.
Let's soar.
Rampage.
And Swain comes back once more, and using her new ultimate ability, which both slows and does AoE damage, we managed to score yet another kill on Swain. He isn't doing too well at this point.
As you wish.
We haven't need to show what Anivia's passive ability is yet, but we'll talk about that when we get to that point. Now that we have the Glacial Storm, we can now go and deal with the blue buff. First throwing the Flash Frost to stun it, and then placing up a crystalline wall so that it can't reach us as we kill it.
Let's soar.
All the while we make sure that our Glacial Storm stays on until we run out of mana,
So young, so naive.
which is the main problem with Anivia, as her Glacial Storm requires a lot of mana to keep it operational. But however, since we have a blue buff and we also have clarity, it shouldn't prove to be a problem anymore, since we can now spam our abilities as much as we desire. I notice that Swain left to go to the bottom, so I go to join them at this point, to make sure that they don't get ganked, as that would prove to be quite nasty, since I never actually warned them until it was a little bit too late.
Only for you.
However, the bottom lane is dealing quite well with everything, and Swain does manage to get them. However, Singed once again secures his own kill,
In a flash.
and so I just head back. As you can tell with Anivia, she is a very calm champion. Unlike Leona,
As
the
you
previous
wish.
champion who would be charging into enemies constantly and stunning them, Anivia prefers to simply stay back and throw her occasional spells. She can be very aggressive when she does get her stuns up and goes in for the finishing moves for
Let's soar.
Frostbite. However, unless you're actually charging the enemy, she pretty much stays at the back and just keeps herself alive. And here, since we have mana to waste, we use our Glacial Storm to pick up a few extra creep kills until Swain comes to annoy us, that is. And he's gotten some helpful advice from Ezreal, who we may need to take down in a second. The Glacial Storm proves very helpful for picking off kills, as well as allowing you to escape if need.
Only for you.
My fighter is lucky enough to run away relatively unscathed from that encounter. And by relatively unscathed, I mean he didn't manage to die.
Let's soar.
However, Ezreal almost played the fool and came to attack me. However, he then backed away. Or at least he would have backed away, but he decided to come back anyway. And I do believe that Narcissus also found that relatively amusing.
Has destroyed a turret. An enemy has been slain.
At this point we just
In a
help with
flash.
taking down the tower, as the other two lanes have already pushed theirs, so it's just common courtesy to actually do my own. However, since I've run out of my blue buff, I go to pick up
In
another
a
one.
flash.
None of the others are worrying too much about getting them, so they're all mine at this stage. I have to use Clarity though to make sure that I can actually kill it, since I am completely out of mana. As you can see, the Crystalline Wall is very helpful for keeping you safe as you do this.
Understood.
I attempt to help with killing Ezreal, but it doesn't really work at all. Could have of course stolen that kill quite easily,
Only for
but
you.
I'm not a jerk, so I didn't. It was theirs after all. And here comes Shyvana, attempting to charge us in the face for some
Understood.
completely unknown reason. A silly dragon indeed. And here comes my good friend Swain. We've had good times so far with this map, namely me killing him.
Let's soar.
As I've done once again.
Ally has been slain.
Now there, we would have died if we were any other character, but since we're Anivia, we can rebirth using our egg since she is a phoenix after all. That egg, however, has a 4-minute cooldown, so if we end up in a similar situation again soon, it isn't going to help us. But her egg ability can be very helpful. However, you want to be able to be in relative safety when it actually triggers if possible,
Enemy has been
because it
slain.
also lowers the armor you take, and if they destroy the egg, you die anyway.
An
At this
enemy
point,
has
I
been
think that
slain.
I continue to buy the correct items,
In a flash.
and then I get the sorcerer's shoes. We're working on our 20 stacking item, and I keep forgetting the name of. To get more ability power and then cooldown reduction when it reaches 20 stacks.
Let's soar.
It's a very helpful item against bots when you're not dying, but I wouldn't recommend it in PvP, since if you have that item, you can pretty much guarantee the enemy is going to focus on you to make it
Understood.
a waste of money. I just continue to waste as much mana as I feel like to get these kills. After all, I do have a
As
lot
you
of mana,
wish.
so it's perfectly fine to do that. As long as if you have the blue buff of Anivia, I would recommend continually glacier storming groups to continue to get the kills. However, if you don't have it, it may be smarter to not waste all that mana. And Singe helps me get that kill there, which was quite dandy of him. And here comes a Malphite, just for some fun. And once again, Singed comes to help us kill him. I think yes, he manages to get away through, which is a bit of a pain.
I bring the storm.
And Swain almost tries to kill me, but he doesn't quite make it.
As you wish.
Luckily this Phendrana hasn't proved to be too much of an issue. She can be quite nasty at times, but this time she's quite a pushover, which is helpful.
Let's soar.
Then again, our team is quite fed compared to theirs.
As you wish.
And here comes Malphite once more, where I believe he finishes me off. Oh no, he managed to get away for 3. That is until Ziggs kills us with his huge bomb, which is a bit of a pain. As you can see, we have exactly a minute left on our cooldown time before our rebirth, as we die, so sadly we couldn't come back as an egg that time. I believe this is the point where I decide to waste all my money and just sell the item I picked up.
An ally has been slain.
Yes, for some reason I decided not to go for a lot of ages, and instead just to go for some ability power.
An enemy has been slain.
Only for you.
Once again, I don't really know what her best build is for items, I just generally pick up what I feel like at the time.
Let's soar.
Which explains why I originally felt like mana, and then suddenly felt like ability power, not making up my mind in exactly the same fight. And now we have our egg back, which will be helpful when we next
Understood.
get ourselves critically injured. I do like how I decided to use this as my second video,
In a flash.
because compared to the first, it really is a different speed. Since you originally saw me
Let's
charging in
soar.
on enemies constantly, and now you're just seeing such a laid-back fight. Each champion has their own style like this. Some of them share styles, but this goes to pretty much
Only
over
for
two
you.
extremes. On one side, you're continually charging enemies, on the other side, you're staying in the back lines and just generally flapping your wings.
As you wish.
Now, I don't usually talk about what is best to level up first, since I usually get it wrong. However, when you're playing
Understood.
Anivia, I would very much recommend that you get Frostbite as high level as possible, but of course don't get it as your first ability.
Rampage.
As that ends up doing the most damage due to the way that it
Inner
hits for double damage against frozen targets. And once again, Malphite takes me out of his ultimate, but it's fine because I have Anivia. I haven't actually showed that because I never typed while in the egg form, but yeah, she's called Anivia when she's in an egg.
Rampage.
Sometimes the creators of games can be quite silly.
Inner flash.
Well, the only problem now is that our egg is once again on cooldown.
Inner flash.
However, it does manage to come back before the end of the map, so that's useful. Now, ordinarily, we wouldn't actually have Annie with us, because Annie is of course also a mage, and she would usually go in the middle lane, where I was. However, she decided she wanted to go to the bottom, so I went to the middle instead, and everyone was happy.
Only for you.
And that was cheering the name of Tibbers. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter which side you're on, when you hear that, you have to agree.
Understood.
You see, we now have a Rabadon's Death Cap, as well as a full stacked ability power and cooldown reduction tome. And another Rod of Ages, not Rod of Ages, needlessly large rod to go with it. I went for pretty much a ridiculously overpowered ability
Only
power.
for you.
Gear set here. However, we still could do with a lot more items to make us as truly overpowered as I would desire. And Anivia's voice is very nice. She has a very calming, rather elderly female voice, which
Understood.
wouldn't really be expected from her appearance, to be honest, but I greatly approve of it. The voice is very sweet and charming. At the same time, it fits her calming playstyle very well. I decide to attempt to take him out, but I don't really make it and I waste my flash in the process. But all is well, because I can pick up a Shivani kill afterwards. At least I think I can. There we go. No, she manages to avoid it.
Godlike.
I dislike being incorrect when I've already
Inner
stated
flash.
that it will happen as a fact. Edison says we should probably take out the towers.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
As you wish.
And this is one of my favourite fights of this level, as we just attempt to take out the 3 computers that are there, and then Annie comes in to stun them all,
Only for you.
and manages a triple kill with Tibbers. You have to love Tibbers. The best kill steal in existence, but everyone's fine with it, and then we get killed by Ezreal.
Has destroyed an inhibitor.
Once again, sadly, Anivia is on cooldown, so we can't revert to our egg form. Sadly, since we died, we have lost 6 stacks of our stacking item, which is rather a shame.
Your team has destroyed
But since we already have a lot of ability power, it's fine. And Annie does apologise for the rather large kill steal she did, but it was funny nonetheless, so it was perfectly fine.
As you wish.
I decided to pick up an extra elixir for a little bit extra ability power and cooldown reduction, mainly because I wanted something to fill the last gap. However, if I actually remember to use it, it's probably a no, because I usually do forget such things. So let's just skip back up with Anivia.
double kill.
and Annie
Only for
to go
you.
finish them off. And Annie does like commenting on the fact that I'm a bird.
Laying an egg isn't as easy as it looks. In a flash.
Everybody's got some Annie, the best child in the universe. Mainly because she wields a huge demonic bow and legions of fire.
Understood.
At this point, we've won the map. Indeed, we have been beaten by a little girl,
Let's soar.
and also an older girl who is also a phoenix, but mostly Annie indeed. And once again we managed to avert our egg form just as we were about to die,
In a flash.
which is brilliant. So that's 3 times I've had saved us on this level. And that's probably 3 times more than I should have allowed. And here we are, and we win. So until the next champion,